Part 3. Lessons from New Man. We brought up the first generation of New Man with our own children, and raised them as our own, which they were. New Man treated us like we were their parents, and they treated our children like they were their brothers and sisters, which they were. We raised all our children in our own families like we were raised ourselves, and we prospered. Most our children were born in labs, as most mothers had already resurrected into their robot bodies by the time they wanted children. It was considered immoral, selfish, and masochistic to want to give natural childbirth. It was considered primitive, risky, and painful. It was also considered irresponsible not to want to trade your fragile and vulnerable bio body for a superior robot body. It was considered a sin to allow your vulnerable brain, the house of your soul, to risk dying or being killed and being denied immortality forever. After the age of 18, if you didn't get baptized in a new robot body and have your brain registered and docked safely in Heaven Incorporated, you were considered as unwise, foolish, and irresponsible. Not to want to be immortal was considered immoral. When the first generation of New Man died, we stayed and taught their children like grandparents, always available for any advice they asked for. Many of us went back home after our mission expired. By the third generation, there were more of New Man than there were of us, and with further generations, we were looked on and treated as wise, recluse gurus. There was so much peace on New Earth amongst the animals and New Man that more and more souls decided to visit and move to New Earth. With many generations, New Man came to regard us more and more as animals they wanted to domesticate for house pets. They looked on us like our mythical human Tarzan looked on the apes that raced him in the jungle. They wondered at our superiority and could not explain how we can fly so fast and so high. To them, we were an amazing animal with amazing capabilities. Just as our superiority amazed them, our children's inferiority with their bio bodies stunned them. They compassionately treated our children as if they were babies. Our children, with their carbon-based bodies, were blind and lame compared to the children of New Man. But when our children were baptized at 18, they immediately displayed their new powers with their resurrected robot bodies. New Man was just as amazed by our baptism as we were by a maggot metamorphosing into a fly. With time, more and more of our children postponed their baptism rite. This greatly worried parents who feared that their children might die and lose out on Heaven Incorporated and immortality. New Man was very compassionate to the children who didn't get baptized. They were considered physically handicapped, and New Man tamed and trained large birds for them to fly around on, like our ancestors tamed horses to ride around on. They were curious about us as we were curious about animals that lived on New Earth. They were especially amused by our liking sex so much, and often compared us to a tiny sperm that seemed so harmless and weak at the beginning, but ends up a powerful body in the end. We were more interested about them than they were about us. They treated us like house pets. We could understand each other, but they rarely wanted to talk to us. We were treated like how the Egyptians, our long ago ancestors, treated cats, with reverence. When Newman started writing, and when he invented the printing press, he gradually developed new morals very similar to those of our most ancient ancestors. They professed belief that New Earth is itself alive. They affectionately called her Giga. New Man developed a mythology where they survived their death and returned to their designer with whom they have a personal relationship. They believed that their bodies were just temporary housings for their thoughts, and that when they died, they joined their personal creator and lived on forever. They claimed their designer created the universe and everything in it, including us souls, from nothing.